I was the last person to walk out of Dr. Ellis's office. The ones before me, no one ever saw them again. You ever walk into a place and feel like the walls are breathing? That was Dr. Ellis's office. It sat on a quiet corner in Salem, Oregon, brick building, second floor, nothing fancy. But the second I stepped into that waiting room, something pressed against my skin like invisible hands. The air was thick, not just from the old radiator heat, but from something else, something that watched. I was referred by my manager after I had a panic episode at work. Said I needed to talk to someone before I burned out completely. The guy gave me Ellis's name like it was some kind of favor. I looked him up, almost no online presence, no social media, no patient reviews. Just a single black and white photo of him standing in front of a bookshelf, smiling like he didn't know how. That should have been my first warning sign. The building was old medical infrastructure, likely built in the 50s. The elevator had a certificate dated 1994 and creaked like it hadn't been serviced since. I took the stairs. The hallway leading to his suite had 6 offices, but only his had a working light under the door. Everything else was dark, abandoned, or just pretending to be. It was 6:45 p.m. My appointment was for 7. The receptionist wasn't there. There was a bell, the kind you tap once and immediately regret. I sat down on one of those stiff, fake leather chairs. The waiting room was small, 4 chairs, 1 coffee table, a coat rack, a plant that looked long dead, and a painting of a field with no path and no end. I remember that clearly, a field with no visible way through. There was something strange about that painting. The longer I stared, the more it felt like it moved, not visually but emotionally, like it pulled at something inside me. I blinked, looked away, and checked the time again. 6:50, then I noticed the clipboard. It was sitting on the table, no label, no header, just a list of names. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The last 5 patients were listed in pen, same handwriting, same style. And next to each name, instead of a check mark or appointment time, there was a single word, void. My throat went dry. Void. What did that even mean? It wasn't a cancellation. It wasn't rescheduled. Just void. I flipped the page. More names. Same word. Every single one void. At 6:59, the door creaked open on its own. I didn't see a shadow move. I didn't hear a voice, but something cold pushed through that opening like the room was exhaling. I stood up, and like a damn idiot, I walked in. Dr. Ellis was already seated, back straight, hands folded on his lap. He didn't smile. He didn't even gesture for me to sit. He just looked up and said, "You made it." I sat down across from him. The room was dim, lit only by a single lamp in the corner that flickered every few seconds like it couldn't decide whether to live or die. The walls were bare except for one mirror behind him that didn't show my reflection. I saw the chair. I saw Ellis. But not me. My seat looked empty. He didn't ask about my work or my history. He didn't even ask why I came. He just stared. And slowly, I felt words slipping out of me that I hadn't even formed in my mind. Things I hadn't told anyone. Things I didn't even know were mine to tell. I told him about the dreams. The ones where I walk into rooms that have no doors but are filled with people I recognize, people I haven't seen in years, or who are dead. I told him how they whisper things to me, not in words, but in thoughts that are too loud to ignore. I told him about the shadow at the foot of my bed that stands there from 3:01 a.m. to 3:19 a.m. every night, unmoving. He didn't flinch. Not once. Just nodded like it all made sense. Then he leaned forward and said, "You're close to the threshold." I asked what that meant, and he said, "You're starting to see what the others saw, but you came with a fracture." I didn't know what that meant either, but suddenly I felt my mouth moving again. I told him about a time I almost drowned as a kid, how I remembered seeing myself floating, watching my own body flail from the surface, how I felt warm even as my lungs screamed. "You were already marked," he said. Something shifted in the room. Not physically, but the lamp stopped flickering. The ticking clock on the wall froze. I could still move, still think, but everything around me was still. Ellis's face began to change, not drastically, not like in the movies. Just small things. His pupils widened too much. His smile twitched even though he wasn't smiling. His skin got darker, like something underneath it was trying to push through. "You can still leave," he said. "You still have form." I stood up. My legs were shaking like I'd been running. I walked backwards, afraid to turn around. And when I reached the door, it was open again. Same way it had opened when I came in. Just wide enough. I stepped into the hallway. The lights were all off. The exit sign glowed red like a warning. I didn't look back. I didn't want to look back. But I swear, as I walked past the waiting room, I heard the bell ring on its own. I didn't sleep that night. I left Dr. Ellis's building and drove aimlessly until the tank hit E. I didn't go home. I ended up parked in a supermarket lot on Lancaster Drive, staring at the dark sky through my windshield like it owed me answers. But all I got was fog. When I finally stepped into my apartment, my dog didn't greet me. She always greeted me. She was just standing in the hallway, facing the front door like she expected someone else to come in. Her ears were pinned back, her body stiff. I called her name 3 times before she blinked. She didn't bark that night, not once. But every few minutes, she turned to stare at the bedroom door like someone was standing behind it. I didn't tell anyone what happened in that office. Not my manager, not my brother, not even my girlfriend, who I hadn't talked to in 2 weeks. I told myself it was just an intense session, that I was exhausted. But something inside me knew better. The next morning, I went to work late. When I walked in, the receptionist looked at me like I was a ghost. She whispered, "Didn't think you were coming back." I asked what she meant. She said, "Most people don't come back after seeing Ellis. I've had 3 co-workers disappear after going to him. Nobody makes a second appointment." That froze me. 3 co-workers. Gone. And no one's asking questions? I tried to shake it off. Tried to believe it was just coincidence. Salem's not a big city, but people leave, people quit, people ghost employers. Still, it didn't sit right. I decided to do some digging. I started with public records. Ellis wasn't in any current therapist registry. No license on file. No practice number. Just a business listing for cognitive restoration services, registered to a P.O. box that no longer existed. The office suite was rented under a shell company that traced back to nothing. And then I found the forums. Old archived ones. Reddit threads, chat logs, Usenet posts from over a decade ago. People talking about a man in Oregon who practiced quiet therapy. No intake forms. No billing. No records. Just appointments made by referral only, and then silence. One thread mentioned a girl who walked into her 7 p.m. session in 2009 and was never seen again. Her family filed a report. The police visited the office. The office was empty. Scrubbed clean. No Ellis. No furniture. Just dust. But here I was 10 years later, sitting in that same damn chair in that same room with the same lamp and the same painting and the same bell. Something was wrong. Something was repeating. That's when I started hearing it. The voice. Not out loud, more like a whisper behind my thoughts. Like my mind had been split into 2 layers, and the second one belonged to him. To Ellis. It would come while I showered, while I chewed, while I tried to sleep, and every time it said the same thing. You stepped through. You left a door open. I started seeing things. A reflection that didn't match my movement. A photo on my phone that showed someone else in my clothes. My dog wouldn't sleep in my room anymore. She wouldn't even look at me when I walked in. Her food dish stayed full. Water untouched. Her body trembled constantly, like a machine about to fail. I called a second therapist. A real one this time. I made an appointment. It was a sunny Wednesday, and I drove to the clinic in broad daylight. But when I arrived, the receptionist looked confused. She told me no one named Ellis worked there. I said I wasn't asking for Ellis. I gave her the name of the new doctor. She paused, typed, then frowned. "There's no appointment under your name." I pulled up the email confirmation on my phone. The time, the address, it was all there. But the email vanished. Right in front of me. The message dissolved on the screen like ink bleeding into water. That's when I understood. It wasn't about Ellis. It was about the door he opened. Something had followed me out. I drove home and walked through every inch of my apartment. I opened cabinets, looked under the bed. I unplugged everything. I turned all the mirrors to face the wall. But it didn't matter. Every surface reflected something I couldn't control. At 3:01 a.m., I heard a knock on the bedroom wall. Not the door. The wall. 3 knocks. Then silence. Then 3 more. And then a whisper. "You're almost ready." I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. I opened the window. No one outside. I looked at my phone and found a voicemail notification. It was from me. Timestamped at 3:01 a.m. I played it. Silence for 7 seconds. Then my own voice. "Don't answer the wall." I dropped the phone. My chest tightened. I stumbled to the kitchen, poured myself water, but my hand wouldn't stop shaking. The lights began to dim and return, in a rhythm, like breathing. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I stopped going to work. But the voicemail changed the next night. Same time, same number, same voice. This time it said, "He knows you're resisting." And in the background, I could hear the bell from Ellis's waiting room. I tried to destroy the phone. Thought maybe if I shattered the device, I could break the connection. I took it outside, dropped it from the third-floor fire escape, stomped it into gravel. But when I came back inside, it was on my kitchen counter, fully intact, screen lit up, showing one missed call at 3:01 a.m. I moved out the next morning. Didn't tell my landlord. Didn't pack much. Just my dog, a suitcase, and whatever I could grab in under 10 minutes. I headed south, no GPS, no destination. Just highways and bad music. The farther I got from Salem, the quieter the voice became. That whisper in the back of my head started to fade, like a signal weakening. I made it to a motel near Medford, a rundown place called Golden Pines. Nobody there cared about names or IDs. The kind of place people go when they don't want to be found. I paid for 2 nights, gave them cash, and turned my phone off. Then I wrapped it in tinfoil, shoved it in the motel's mini fridge, and unplugged the power. That night, I dreamed of the mirror. It wasn't the one from Ellis's office. It was mine, the full-body mirror I had back in Salem, the one I turned toward the wall before leaving. In the dream, I stood in front of it, naked, breathing hard, and my reflection didn't move. It just stared. Then it smiled, slow and wide, and stepped forward, breaking the glass without making a sound. I woke up with cuts on my hands, tiny slices, like from glass. My dog was gone. I found the bathroom window open, and paw prints on the floor leading out into the rain. I searched for hours, called her name until my throat burned. Nothing. I slept in the car, parked behind the motel, engine running, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror like something might crawl out of it. I called my brother the next day. I hadn't spoken to him in months. He picked up after 4 rings. I asked if he'd ever heard of Ellis. He didn't respond. I thought the call dropped. But then I heard it, a soft, almost inaudible ring. Not from my phone. From his side. The bell. From the waiting room. I hung up. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours maybe. The world felt distant, thin, like I was watching it from behind a sheet of plastic. I went back into the motel and found the manager. I asked him a question I never thought I'd ask anyone in my life. "Do you know any place around here that doesn't have mirrors?" He didn't even flinch. He just pointed across the lot to the storage units behind the building. Said I could sleep in one for $30 cash. I took the deal. It smelled like rust and rot, but it was dark, empty, and quiet. For a few hours. At exactly 3:01 a.m., I woke up to find a single mirror leaning against the inside of the storage door. It hadn't been there before. It was identical to the one in Ellis's office, framed in old wood, surface too clean, reflection too late. I say late because every time I moved, the image took half a second to follow, like it had to decide whether to copy me or not. I turned away, closed my eyes, focused on my breathing. Then I heard it. Not the bell, not the whisper, but my own voice from behind the mirror. "Why'd you leave me?" I ran, drove without stopping. I didn't care where I ended up. I just wanted distance, time, clarity. But the farther I drove, the more the world around me looked wrong. The sky stayed gray no matter the time. Roads I knew twisted into unfamiliar paths. Street signs lost their lettering. People looked at me too long before turning away. I stopped for gas at a station outside Eugene. Went inside to grab water. And when I turned down an aisle, there he was. Ellis, standing at the end, wearing the same clothes. Same smile. Except now, his eyes weren't black. They weren't eyes. Just 2 dark pits that looked like holes carved into his face. I blinked. He was gone. I dropped the water bottle and left. Later that night, I checked into another motel. No TV, no mirrors, no windows, just 4 walls and a lock that barely worked. I sat in the center of the room, phone turned off, wrapped again, this time in several layers. I surrounded myself with a ring of salt I bought from a grocery store on instinct. At 3:01 a.m., the walls started breathing again. Not literally, but the air shifted, grew heavy. The shadows stretched farther than they should have. And right above the door, in faint scratches, I saw something I hadn't noticed when I checked in. "You're already inside." The voicemail came through the next morning. Even though the phone was off, even though the SIM card had been removed, it rang. The message this time was different. It was my voice again, but deeper, more distorted. "Stop running," it said. "You're not leaving this time." And then I heard something else in the background. Breathing. Not mine. Not human. Slow. Wet. Like lungs trying to remember how to work. That was 2 days ago. I haven't slept since. Because now, the mirrors don't wait until 3:01. They follow me everywhere. I tried to trace Ellis the way you'd trace a ghost. Not by who he is now, but by who he used to be. People don't just appear. Even monsters leave paper trails. I went to the local library in Eugene and dug through old newspaper reels, obituaries, clinic listings from the 70s and 80s. It took 2 hours before I found something. An article from 1983. Title: Local Therapist Dies in Fire, Patients Missing. His name was Dr. Vernon Ellis. Same face. Same crooked mouth. Same dead smile. They found his office burned to the ground. 5 patients were unaccounted for. No remains. No records. The article mentioned strange complaints leading up to the incident. Talk of unlicensed therapy, experimental methods, and patients claiming lost time and hallucinations. One woman reportedly said, "He reaches into your memories and takes something with him." The case was closed. Accidental fire. No one questioned why the same man, unchanged, was still practicing 40 years later. Unless it wasn't him. Unless Ellis isn't a person anymore. I started losing chunks of time after that. An hour gone between waking and moving. Gaps in memory where my hands were stained with something black and sticky, but I had no idea why. I found clothes in my duffel I didn't remember packing. Photos on my phone that showed places I hadn't been. In one of them, I'm standing outside Ellis's office again, 3 nights ago. I was wearing the same shirt I'm wearing now. And I'm smiling. That same crooked smile. I told myself it was a trick, that I was spiraling. But I knew better. I knew what it felt like when something got inside you. When your thoughts stopped being entirely yours. I rented a small cabin outside Corvallis. No neighbors. No mirrors. No internet. I paid in cash and didn't use my real name. I built a fire each night, stayed up with the lights on, slept during the day. But none of it helped, because now the dreams weren't dreams. I'd close my eyes and wake up back in Ellis's chair. Session already in progress. No memory of how I got there. Just him sitting across from me, nodding slowly, saying things I couldn't hear, but somehow still understood. My body paralyzed. My mouth open but silent. And behind him, in the mirror that showed only his side of the room, I'd see rows of chairs, filled with others who looked like me. Same posture. Same dead eyes. Same silence. Like we were all still there. Like no one ever left. One night, I decided to record myself sleeping. Just audio. I wanted proof. Something. I left the recorder on my nightstand and went to bed with 3 sleeping pills and a knife under the pillow. I woke up on the floor, freezing cold, and my nails were torn, like I'd been scratching at something hard. The audio, 12 hours long. 9 of those were static, but somewhere around the 10-hour mark, the static faded, and I heard something move. Heavy footsteps, dragging feet, a scrape, then a voice mine speaking softly. "Is it my turn again?" Followed by another voice, Ellis's, calm and precise. "No, you haven't finished bringing the others." And then a bell. That damn bell. I deleted the file, burned the recorder, but I couldn't shake what he said. "You haven't finished bringing the others." Was that what this was? Was I now part of it? A vessel? A recruiter? Is that what the others were before they vanished? That's when I remembered something buried. Something I'd pushed so deep I thought it wasn't real. Back when I was a kid, maybe 8 or 9, I was taken to a therapist after my dad died. My mom said I stopped speaking for 2 months. She picked a random name out of the phone book. Dr. Vernon Ellis. I barely remembered the sessions. Just flashes. His face. The smell of burnt matches. The way he always turned the mirror toward me before we spoke. And one sentence he said on the final day. "You won't remember this now, but you'll come back when it's time." That means I wasn't referred. I didn't find him online. I didn't get his name from anyone. I was drawn to him, like my whole life was just a loop waiting to close. I checked the voicemail log again. There were 6 now, all from me, all time-stamped 3:01 a.m., each one more distorted than the last. The most recent one said, "Bring the final name, then you can rest." But I didn't know what name, or whose, until my phone buzzed again. A contact I hadn't seen in years, Jessica Moreno. We used to date. Years ago. She moved to Texas, changed numbers, cut contact after a bad breakup. Her name showing up was impossible. But it wasn't a message. It was a reminder. An event on my calendar. Session with Jessica, 7 p.m., Office 204, Capitol Building, Salem just like mine. Same time, same room, same pattern. And suddenly I knew. This wasn't over. It was starting again. And this time, I wasn't the patient. I was the door. I arrived in Salem before sunset. Didn't stop for food. Didn't speak to anyone. Just parked 3 blocks from the Capitol Building and sat in the car until the sky turned orange and the streets emptied. The weight in my chest felt familiar, like a magnet buried in my ribs, pulling me back toward the office I swore I'd never see again. I walked up the stairs to the 2nd floor. The hallway was exactly as I remembered, long, dim, quiet like a church after midnight. The lights above flickered once, and then stayed dead. I passed 5 dark office doors, all silent. Office 204 was the last one. The door was open. The waiting room was empty. No receptionist. No clipboard. No fake plant or bell this time. Just chairs. 7 of them. I sat in the 6th. The 7th remained empty. And across from me, in that same cracked leather chair, sat Jessica. She didn't look surprised to see me. Didn't speak. She just stared like she'd been waiting. Her eyes were sunken. Skin pale. Like she hadn't slept in weeks. Or eaten. She wore the same red scarf she always did when we were together. But it looked older. Faded. Almost gray. I opened my mouth to say her name, but no sound came out. Because in the corner of the room, behind her, I saw him. Ellis. Not seated this time. Standing. Watching. His suit hung off him like it belonged to someone else. His limbs were longer than they should be. His fingers dragged across the wall as he walked, slow and silent, toward the 7th chair. And when he sat, the light above him sputtered and died. I felt the air leave the room. Jessica didn't react. She just kept staring at me. And finally, she spoke. "Why'd you bring me here?" I wanted to say I didn't. That I didn't send the invitation, didn't schedule the session. But the truth was, I had. Not with my hands, but with something deeper. Something that had been in me since childhood. Since that first session, I was the door. The key. The call. Ellis leaned forward. His mouth moved, but no words came out. And yet I heard him. He spoke inside my skull. "She's the last. After her, you're free." Jessica turned toward him. And in that moment, I saw something move across her reflection in the dark window. Not her. Not Ellis. But me. Smiling. Standing behind her. Smiling like Ellis did. I stood up, heart racing. "No," I said, finally finding my voice. "I won't finish this." Ellis rose with me. So did Jessica. But her body was limp now. Head tilted. Eyes rolled back. And Ellis reached for her. Not with his hands, but with mine. I felt my arms lift. I wasn't moving them. But they moved. Toward her. I backed up, fighting against my own limbs, muscles locking and twisting like puppets in someone else's grip. My hand brushed her shoulder. And she vanished. No scream. No collapse. Just gone. The 7th chair was no longer empty. It held something black. Something shifting. Something with a smile. I turned and ran. Out of the office. Down the hall. But the hallway didn't end. I ran past door after door after door. And every one opened to a waiting room. Same chairs. Same bell. Same painting. Different people. Each time I stepped through, someone else looked up. A new patient. Each with empty eyes. Each session already in progress. And in every mirror, I saw myself, seated where Ellis should be. Not smiling anymore. Just watching. Observing. Recording. When I finally collapsed, the world around me broke like glass. Shards of memory, timelines, places I never lived. Faces I never met. All crashing into each other inside my head. I saw children dragged into darkness by their own shadows. Men whispering secrets to walls that breathed. Women scratching names into fogged mirrors, trying to remember who they were. And me. Always me. Sitting. Listening. Calling. The cycle wasn't Ellis's. It was mine. It always had been. He was just the fragment that triggered it. The echo of a doorway created the first time I died, and came back. I never truly survived that drowning. Not all of me. Part of me stayed on the other side. The part that remembers the void. And now I was whole again. I woke up in my car, parked in the same lot. My phone was on the passenger seat. The voicemail icon flashed. One new message. I pressed play. This time, it wasn't my voice. It was hers. Jessica. But not like I remembered. Her voice was wet. Hollow. Like she was speaking from somewhere underwater. You left me there. Then silence. And then Ellis's voice. She'll bring the next. It's been 4 days since Salem. I've driven across state lines twice. Switched motels every night. But no matter how far I go, the rooms all look the same now. Same peeling wallpaper. Same smell of dust and mold. Same mirror nailed to the wall, always facing the bed. I cover it with blankets, tape, towels, whatever I can find. But when I wake up, it's always uncovered. Always showing something wrong. I don't see myself anymore. Just someone wearing my face. Smiling. Every voicemail I've received since that night has come from a number with no origin. The latest one arrived while I was pumping gas in Idaho. It said, "She's found another." Jessica's voice again. Only now, she doesn't sound angry. She sounds like me. Like we're reading from the same script. Like we're part of the same system. I started compiling names. People I've known who went missing or cut contact without explanation. Coworkers. Old classmates. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. I pulled threads. Socials. Phone numbers. Obits. And one by one, they all led to him. To Ellis. Even if not directly, they all passed through the same space, the same city, the same building, the same hour. And now I understand something that used to keep me awake at night. No one escapes. Not because Ellis is chasing them, but because they become him. We all do. Eventually. The office isn't real. Not in the way we think of space. It's a construct. A waiting room built inside us. A mental anchor so that he can reach through, pull us back, or push us forward. I've begun to see it in dreams again. The chairs, the lamp, the mirror. But now the mirror shows me rooms. Different ones. Filled with new faces. I think I'm watching other sessions now. Other people entering their first appointment. Some of them are children. Some look just like me. And I'm there. Always seated. Never speaking. Just watching. Last night, something changed. At 3:01 a.m., the mirror didn't show a reflection. It showed a door. And it opened. On the other side, I saw a long hallway. Identical to the one in Salem. Except, it kept going. No end. No windows. Just doors. Each one slightly open. And from inside, voices whispered names. Not mine. Yours. Maybe that's why I'm recording this. Not to warn you. Not to confess. But to prepare you. Because if you've listened this far, if this story made it to your ears, it means the door's already open. You felt it, didn't you? That cold silence in certain rooms. That flicker in your bathroom mirror when the light dies for a second. That name you heard once in a dream, Ellis, and swore you'd never heard before. It's always him. But he doesn't walk anymore. We do. Every town has a version. Every city a different face. The therapist with the kind eyes, and the office that's always too quiet. The session you don't remember scheduling. The room that's already waiting for you. And when you sit down, you'll think it's just therapy. You'll tell him things you've never said out loud. He'll nod, maybe even smile. And before you know it, you'll start dreaming of mirrors, doors, voices. You'll feel the pull, the threshold. And if you don't resist, if you let him in, you'll walk out feeling lighter. Hollow, like something got left behind, or something came with you. And one day, you'll get a message, a voicemail, at 3:01 a.m. Just like me, just like Jessica, just like the hundreds before us. And maybe it'll be my voice this time. Maybe I'll be the one who calls. Not to warn you, not to stop you, but to welcome you. Because we all vanish eventually. The only question is, will you walk in, or be pulled through? That was today's story. If you made it this far, let me know what you thought in the comments. Also, tell me if you've ever heard of anything similar happening near where you live. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are plenty more chilling stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.